Roll call.
Al Barkstrom,
Here.
Doug Erickson is excused. Brian Ernst.
Here.
Jeff Hallstein is excused. Larry Palachuk.
Items for discussion and possible action. Public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Anybody online?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on. Any communications from committee members? Nothing there. Okay, so now we'll move on to agenda item number 2, resolution, support of Novato's application for broadband equity access and deployment BEAD program grant. Okay, we've got 2 resolutions in our packet regarding this. One just basically, I'll read the therefore. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Price County Board of Supervisors as follows. Price County fully supports Novato's application for funding under the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment BEAD program to expand high-speed broadband services to unserved and underserved areas within the town. And Price County will work collaboratively with Novato to ensure the timely and efficient completion of the broadband expansion project should the BEAD funding be awarded. And the county administrator is hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to Novato, the Wisconsin Public Service Commission, and other appropriate agencies and officials involved in the BEAD application process. Option 2, so it's we either, we don't have to, I guess, forward either one of these, but if we do, we only can forward one, option 1 or option 2. Option 2 is basically the same thing, except it has a dollar amount of how much the county is willing to allocate for BEAD spending. Nick, you want to?
Yeah, so quick, it was interesting because we talked about this at, I think it was executive. It was one of our meetings. We talked about some, it must have been executive, that we were talking about the bug tussle stuff, and then we talked about how the BEAD stuff hadn't come out yet. Well, that same day I got an email from Novato that they are going to be applying for BEAD funding. They sent me a map so you can see, I put it up on the board. It's the black outlined areas. So there's 2 projects that they're combining in one for $35 million-ish. And there's a little hint that up in counties by the flammable flowage, there's a little, that's not our project, but they're looking at doing a BEAD project up there too. So what this one, the northern project, is outside of Park Falls, around Butternut Lake, so east-west all the way through Fifield, and then it's excluding Park Falls because it's already served and or they already have lines there. And then the southwest part of the county would be the other project that's combined with this. So what the BEAD program needs from the county is, if you want to support a telco on the BEAD programs, there's grant points. So it's always a point system. So the more they can get, the better chances they have at getting the project money. So they're requesting that we sign on as a supporter of the project to help them get points for the grant. Like Brian said, there's 2 options. One, we just say we're a supporter of the project, which that helps. It gives them 7 points. Not that that matters to anybody, but 7 points on the grant. And then the second option is we also support, but we give some type of funding, matching funding to the project. My understanding is you still get the 7 points, but it also shows that there's more of a commitment to the local partners. I did reach out to the city to do Park Falls, give a letter. I know they're reaching out to the schools because it would affect students. But this is the project they're requesting to do BEAD. It would not be something that happens overnight. So I know everybody's like, well, we just did bug tussle. This is area of bug tussle. This will be the spidering off of bug tussle that we talked about. So bug tussle is the middle mile. Now Novato's coming in saying, cool, we'll spider off and do the last mile. And these are the BEAD projects that would go with it. From my understanding, this wouldn't happen till like 27 or 28. This isn't we sign on and if they get it, it happens tomorrow. This is the long-term outlook on that spending, the BEAD spending, which is the broadband money.
Just another thought, in the past, we've allocated up to 150,000 towards similar projects that never were realized because those that were awarded the project decided not to do them.
Kind of. So we under resolution 21-21, we did an underserved areas broadband project to Norvado. And it was the NTI grant, which they just didn't get. So it wasn't like somebody got it and didn't spend the money. That grant didn't go through. So we could recommend a dollar amount, 50, 100, whatever it is, and then go back and resend that resolution 21-21 and reallocate it to this project if you want to do funding.
So option 1 is that we're in support of the project. Option 2, you specify a dollar amount.
We support and allocate.
And allocate.
Funding, yep.
And this would be just for the Park Falls area?
Nope.
Sorry, I just stopped sharing as he said it. It's Park Falls and Southwest Wisconsin, so Ken and Catawba. I'll get the map back up. Hold on.
Does this limit us to doing business with Norvado exclusively on this?
It does not. However, they do recommend that you don't support every telco project because you only get as a county 7 points to distribute. So if you start saying we want to support Norvado and Charter and CenturyLink, and it spreads the points out, so then they have less likely chance of. That's why it's kind of the first come first best project is who you should look at. So Alan, I brought it up. Brian, do you want to point? It's anywhere in that black line in the south and then up in the north. So the north would be around, like I said, Park Falls, Fifield, past Butternut Lake. And then the south would be this big chunk here.
So there's a deadline for these applications, right?
Yep, that's why we expedited it based on Norvado's request to support it because
So
they
is
have to be
Norvado going to be the only one that's going to apply in our area?
that we're aware of. My understanding is they're working with other telco partners so that they can all win-win in this situation.
So if they're not successful with the BEAD grant, then this resolution is a moot point.
Yep, and then we go back to so if they get denied or not accepted, however you want to look at it,
Not awarded.
not awarded, yeah, then it would start over. So it would be like the second, they're not tranches in this case, but second round. So first round, they're hopefully going to be successful. Like I said, it's 34 million. Let me look at my email. So the total project cost is approximately 34.1 million. It affects 2,389 residents and 419 businesses. The reason why we're asking to do this early is the county board meeting on the 17th. The projects are due early October, and our next meeting's not till middle of October
So that's the total cost of the total project, 34 million
for the two
for
areas.
the
yep.
2 areas. And the BEAD award would be a portion of that? Or all
I
of it?
don't, I wish Jeff was here. I haven't been sitting on the PSA stuff. But I can't remember if it's like 80% of it's covered or more. Yeah, it's a large portion of the total project. I can get that number for you, but I can't remember. And it might be more than that, but
So then Norvado would have to come up with the other 20%.
yeah, say
or-
they'd have to come up with 10 million or whatever it might be.
And we could help that if we chose option 2.
Yes, we could help with the resolution 21-21, which is up to 150,000 in broadband money.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve one of these resolutions. One option.
So, and this project would be in a couple of years from now?
Yeah, it sounded From the people I talked to, it sounded like the award wouldn't happen until next year, so 2025, and then the actual project wouldn't happen till like 26, 27, 28.
And that's when, if we pledged money, that's when we would have to spend it.
Right, they would ask at the end of the project like they did in the 339 one, so
And the chances are better to get it if we pledge some money.
I can't say that. The chances are better to get it if we say we support the project.
Well, that's easy to do.
Right. I did ask Chad the same question. Let me tell you what he said. I have to just find it. Okay. So Chad's response was, there's no specific amount of matching funds we are requesting. Any monetary support demonstrates a strong partnership between the county and Norvado and helps alleviate some of the strain of the resources we are going to feel from the large bead project we are considering. Having that said, no, the county does not have to contribute to the project. Should the board not choose to provide matching funds, just remove the paragraph as the endorsement supports. But when we did talk, obviously that does help, but that we don't have to.
Well, if we were to pledge 100,000, that doesn't necessarily define matching funds.
Well, that would be matching some of their cost. It might only be 0.1%, but it's still,
Okay, so it's not like,
we don't have to do like 10 million for their 10 million or 5 million and they do 5 million. No.
just asking.
No, no. We put a dollar amount, whether it's 10,000 or.
And in the past,
100,000.
we've pledged 150,000.
Yeah, so we did 150,000 for the Southern Price County project that they applied for. It was the NTI grant. And then we pledged, and when that one didn't go through, we did $25,000 for charter to do west of Butternut Lake, and that one was not approved. And then we did have one successful one, which was the 339 project, which was Phillips, Musser, Sioux Lake, and that one did go through, and it was 100,000, I believe.
And we paid 100,000 then?
Correct. They collected that about a year after the project was complete, but yes, they collected that.
I'll make the motion for option 2 and pledge of 100,000.
Motion by Barkstrom. Is there a second?
To come from.
2121, resolution 2121.
Yeah, but where's the money coming? Coming from the ARPA?
ARPA, yeah.
Okay.
The reallocation of resolution 2121 through ARPA funding.
Why would you pledge 100,000 rather versus 150 as we did in the
I don't
past?
know, just subjective.
We got other projects.
Okay, I would second Al's motion.
Second by Polachek. Any further discussion? Make a note, Doug is now here.
Yes. So it's at 100.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of option number 2, pledging of the amount of 100,000 in matching funds to support Nevada's bead grant application, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carried.
You said resolution 2021?
21.
Okay, yeah, because 2021 was budgeted. Got it. Okay.
Moving on. Agenda item number 3, airport improvement plan. Dick?
Sure. This one we put on here just quick because we are going to be talking about it at the board meeting. At the Highway and Transportation Committee, it was brought to the updated capital improvement plan, airport capital improvement plan. And the reason it needs to be discussed is there were some changes to the funding mechanism. And I know Carl's here, but I think Carl will have you talk when the full board's ready because I don't think we're going to make any decisions today. But what we did is we handed out this very colorful, large sheet that was given to Highway and Transportation. And what the big change was is we originally allocated about $100,000 for a T hanger project. That would have been the county matching portion. What's happening is some of the funding mechanism, and like I said, Carl can get into the detail at the full board, but has changed where we would actually have to allocate $1 million up front. We'd get 600,000 approximately back. And again, I'm using round numbers. We'll get into details later. So we'd get 600,000 back at the completion of the project. Most of that would overlap, so we wouldn't be out $1 million day one. There would be an ins and outs, but we'd have a receivable for 600,000. So the project would get completed. We'd be out $400,000 instead of the original 100 we talked about. And then we can request that additional 300 back in the future. So we would be the bank for a short period of time, probably till about 2031-ish, depending on how we plan out things. And then we'd get our 300 back. So then the total project would cost $100,000, but it wouldn't be, the bookkeeping wouldn't come to fruition until 8 years or 6 years from now, that we'd only have spent $100,000. So the board needs to decide if, one, we want to continue with the project of the T hangers, and it ultimately comes down to we become the bank for the long term. So I wanted to put it here so the executive heard about it before the full board started making.
When was this originally approved?
Roger, do you remember? It would have been 2-3 capital improvement projects where we had the 100,000 is still what we originally approved 2 years ago or whenever it was.
Okay, just wondering.
It's just the funding mechanism changed in the meantime. So who's the bank, I guess, is the better. So we'll get more detail. Like I said, Carl's on to be able to talk later, to ask more specific questions. But I wanted you guys to know, because you ultimately are the ones that have to release the funding from the capital improvement project or capital improvement funds. So if the board makes a decision to say, yep, go forward with it, that's going to affect that fund for the next 6 to 8 years.
Okay, any other questions regarding that? We will discuss it further at the full board meeting coming up. All right, item 4, 2025 to 2030 Price County Highway Equipment Improvement Program.
So at the highway committee meeting, there was a lot of discussion about our equipment and where we're going to be going with equipment in the future. And we have not had a good plan in place for yellow equipment. So our large equipment outside of plow trucks. So what was recommended by the highway committee is increasing our 2025 debt levy by about $130,000 would be the payment to start a yellow equipment fund. And what we would be doing is we'd put a cap that says, okay, come up with what yellow equipment you would need in that $400,000 to $500,000 range, which in this case it happens to be a grader. And then we would do a 5-year loan to pay for that. So the first year is like 130, the second year is like 118, fourth it goes down to 104, I think, the last year. What this would do is start the process of a large equipment fund. So then next year, we would have a list of items. So whether it's I can't remember, there was a tanker truck, there was a bunch of, we have a equipment plan that we would be taking out of our normal equipment plan that would be for construction equipment, yellow equipment. So then in 2026, we would do the same thing. So you do $500,000, then your total payment would be in that $200,000 mark. 2027, we do the same thing. So then our payment would be in the $300,000 in 2027. 2028, you'd be at $400,000. So we're starting to create a new equipment fund that would be about $500,000 a year in construction equipment. So that's where the recommendation came from highway and transportation. Because it's a loan, it had to come here. The way it affects our budget is we'd be increasing our debt levy by about $125,000, $130,000 this year.
So basically, item number 4 on the agenda as a lead into this resolution, item number 5.
Yeah, 2025, 20 through 2030, the equipment improvement program is discussing what I said. We came up with a new plan for yellow equipment. The number 5 would be the resolution to pay for that new plan.
So I think I'd like to do is just move on to item number 5, and if there's any further discussion, we can do that. If a motion is made to approve this.
I have one question before.
Okay,
At some point, would the dump trucks get rolled into that account, or are you gonna keep that always
No,
separate? This is-
So what I would see, and I don't know, it's easier to visualize, but I can see it in my head, so I'll try to explain it, is we have our general equipment fund, which ranges around 400,000. It's 370 to 390 this year. It's about 400,000. We've kind of said that's good for one truck and small trailers, tar trailer, whatever, little things that we need. And then we started borrowing for a whole nother truck in our debt. So that was just outside. So we have now 2 pots of money. Our equipment fund does a truck and small equipment, our borrowing that does a truck, and we rip the Band-Aid off. We just do the full payment every year. And now a 3rd pot of money that does construction and yellow equipment. So that would be the $100,000 payment.
So you would keep those 3 separate?
Yeah, yep. I would keep the equipment fund going. And the nice thing is the more equipment you buy, the more depreciation you'll have. So that first pot of money I talked about, that's how we fund it, is depreciation. So like this year it's 370 to 390 based on how much you use your usage. So profit on usage of equipment and depreciation. So if you have a really good winter, that number goes way up. If you have more equipment or newer equipment, the depreciation goes up. So when we buy 2 trucks every year, instead of that just offsetting a truck that went away for 30,000 of depreciation, now it's going to go up 30,000. So 60 total goes in there because you have 2 trucks that are brand new that you depreciate. I believe it's over 9 years. So you divide that number by 9, slowly put that number down to 15%. So it's not the full total amount, but you depreciate it. That's how we pay for that first pool of money that we talked about. It's clear as mud, right?
It gets a little confusing on the highway equipment side.
okay, moving
Move
along.
to
Go ahead.
accept the resolution.
Motion by Polachek to approve the resolution,
I'll second that.
second by Barkstrom. Any further discussion? Roger, you got any additional comments?
Guess not, no, not really. Feel free to come and look at the equipment.
Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of forwarding this resolution onto the full board? Price County Highway Department Equipment Improvement Program to be financed with short-term debt. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. And that takes care of the agenda for this meeting. I hereby call this meeting adjourned.
So we'll mute everybody online and you'll still be there, but you won't hear anything. Thanks.